February is known as the month of love and the burgeoning of spring. However, it is also known as Black History Month, a month where we pay tribute to the contributions of African Americans to society. I'm Zadrian Smith for Real Talk, and today I come to you from Harlem, New York, a community well known for helping shape the face of New York City as we know it today. We'll be speaking to Thomas Lax, the curator for the Studio Museum right here in Harlem. Harlem is the legendary home of Apollo, the Harlem Renaissance, and today we'll see the many artists who have helped shape the face of art. Let's take a look inside at the Studio Museum. Zadrian Smith here with the curator of the Studio Museum in Harlem. I'm here with Thomas Lax. Thank you so much for joining us for Real Talk, Thomas. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you guys were able to make it up here.
Definitely. Thank you for having us. Well, right now we are immersed into your gallery, and we are in one of the exhibits right now, 30 seconds off of an inch.
This is an exhibition that brings 42 artists together from around the world. So you have artists who are from New York, from the West Coast, from Africa, from Europe, all kind of working in a different set of practices that kind of approach the engagement of art and life.
As a curator, when you're working with the artists, do you give them a direction? Do you say this is what we're going for?
I think for an exhibition like this, the curator Naomi Beckwith, what her kind of vision was, she kind of was talking to a number of artists, and the idea for this show really came out of those conversations. I think as a curator, you really have to kind of keep your eye on what folks are making. You know, there was a certain kind of approach to making objects and making art that kind of emerged in the 60s and 70s, both in New York and in the West Coast by Black artists. That was, you know, that kind of looked to everyday objects, looked to kind of found materials, that was very experimental, avant-garde in certain ways, and kind of thinking about the long history of this tradition. This work in particular is a work by an artist called Jabu Arnel. So for this work in particular, he kind of went on Friday afternoons, which is the day when there are deliveries that are made to, you know, different commercial venues in the city of Amsterdam, and took the refuse, took the garbage, the cardboard that was left over.
The Studio Museum of Harlem has impacted the art world on a national level. I mean, because New York is definitely the face of art, but also more specifically how it has pinpointed and targeted the Harlem community specifically for arts for the minority community.
I think, you know, this museum was founded in 1968, and its mission at that point was kind of to promote the work, to kind of present and promote the work of artists of African descent, African American artists specifically at that point. I think at that moment there was kind of a real energy and vigor around bringing art into different communities. This Artist in Residence program is kind of a cornerstone of the museum's mission and kind of practice. Founded in, when it was founded in 1968, that was, there was already kind of a program in place that would become the Artist in Residence program. First of all, it's part of the museum's title. We take, you know, the name of the museum. The Studio Museum is about the third floor artist studio space. And it's this really fantastic program where 3 artists every year are invited to take on a residency that lasts for the full year. They get to, you know, kind of meet with a variety of audiences, critics, other curators, other artists, as well as, you know, all the various audiences that come into the museum.
So do they receive funding also to support?
They do. Wow. They do. They receive both a studio space, kind of a stipend, as well as a material stipend.
So how do you think museums, specifically the Studio Museum, approaches like dealing with issues or art exhibits that are controversial, like something that may be related to racism, or, you know, something that kind of shakes, especially the African American community. The African American community is definitely very religious, tends to be very set in tradition and heritage. So there's a lot of controversial topics that some people may not, you know, appeal to that audience. How do you? But there's some controversial topics that need to be addressed and need to be exhibited through the art. How do you guys approach that here?
That's a fantastic question. I would say that, you know, first of all, the role of an artist and of art, I think, in our society is is manifold, so that it is kind of multi-layered, and there's these different approaches. And I think for some artists, it becomes very important to take on those questions head on. For me personally as a curator, that's extremely exciting and vibrant. I think for other artists, the way that they take it on is different, and it's informed by that, but it doesn't necessarily take them on directly. So that, you know, the kind of very important and upsetting and kind of also in some ways exciting things that you're naming are part of their work, but not necessarily like the kind of driving force. And I think as a curator, it's important to kind of think about all those different approaches and to kind of present them all on equal footing. I think, you know, that's it. Also, then I think it's about a certain kind of generosity. Also, I think it's about letting the art kind of speak for itself, and then also finding different ways to kind of make an intervention and let different voices kind of come to speak on the art.
So tell us, how can FIT students get involved?
Well, first of all, I think it's fantastic that you all are interested. I'm super excited to hear that.
We have some great artists at our school, really great artists.
And also great exhibition spaces and really great opportunities. I think also one thing that's really great about kind of contemporary art is that there's a really major influence of fashion and also different kind of aesthetic and medias. So I think one thing is to really kind of follow your own passion. I would say the kind of simple answer to your question is that there are many different ways, and I'm excited by all of them.
All right, FIT, so we're here at the Studio Museum in Harlem. Just spoke with one of the curators, Thomas Lax, so definitely come and check it out. The exhibits going on right now are very great, very innovative, and they will definitely serve as inspiration to you and your creations.